Jalen Smith is a 3-and-D big man who shined during his sophomore season at Maryland. He provides a skill set that's highly coveted by NBA teams, and it'll be interesting to see just where he goes on draft night. His statistical profile from his second season is phenomenal, and even though his draft range is thought to be in the mid to late first round, I think Jalen Smith could surprise people with how early he gets drafted on draft night. Smith is a phenomenal rim protector. He averaged 2.4 blocks per game at Maryland, and his instincts for protecting the rim are top notch. He also shot almost 37% from 3 at Maryland, making him a true 3-and-D rim protecting big. These two skills are highly coveted by NBA teams, and they're his biggest strengths. Smith also has solid athleticism. He runs the floor well, has a solid vertical leap, and although he's not the most fluid athlete, his athleticism is definitely a selling point. Smith is also a really good rebounder, and not just from the standpoint of collecting them himself, he's also very good at boxing out. Smith has also shown some flashes of slashing potential. When he got ran off the three-point line in college, Smith showed that he was comfortable attacking the closeout and driving the lane. Lastly, Smith is a great NBA fit. Teams love to be able to have centers that can shoot threes or protect the rim. So having a center that can do both fits the modern NBA perfectly. And he also provides some other intriguing skills that could get him drafted higher than anybody's expecting on draft night. As far as his weaknesses go, Smith needs to improve his lower body strength. This hurts him in areas such as his low post defense. Improving his lower body strength will be key in making him a more well-rounded defender. Smith also doesn't have the best defensive foot speed. While it's not a glaring weakness, he could struggle in different pick and roll schemes or if he's switched out onto smaller, quicker players. Another area of his game that's lacking, due in part to weak lower body strength, is his post-up offense. However, being able to score out of the post isn't coveted by many NBA teams, and I don't expect this weakness to really affect his draft stock all that much. Smith also struggles passing the ball, and it's reflected in his assist numbers. He only averaged 0.8 assists per game in over 31 minutes per game during his sophomore season at Maryland. He did show rare flashes of being able to make tough, good passes, but those flashes were far too rare, and oftentimes he struggled to make basic passes. His overall skill set suggests he could become a better passer, but we'll have to wait and see. And lastly, Smith plays a bit stiff. While he is a solid athlete, it takes him a while to load up off of 2 feet and get into the air. He's definitely a slow jumper, and his stiffness has some worry that his athleticism might not translate well to the NBA. So let's talk about Jalen Smith. This is a guy who I feel like I'm definitely underrating putting him here at 17. I know a lot of mock drafts have him in this range, but I love this guy's game. It's kind of tough with the point we're at where the top 16 players on my big board we've already done videos on. So we will release an updated big board right before the draft, and honestly, Jalen Smith is probably going to be higher on that big board for me. But big board rankings aside, Eric, what do you like about Jalen Smith's game? What are some of the issues with his play? Give me your full breakdown on him, and I'll go off that.
Well, as we were talking about big boards, I kind of had an idea of where I was going to put him on my big board, but the more film I watched, I was left wondering why this guy isn't much higher on draft boards. And I think if he falls into the 20s, that's going to be a travesty because this guy has major stretch big potential. He's got defensive rim protection potential. I just like everything about his game for the most part. He's got the ability to be both a pick and pop guy or a pick and roll guy. He could be a defensive force as a rim protector. He could also guard smaller guards on getting switched onto them. He does need to improve his strength a little bit. He seems strong like upper body, but lower body is a little weak. So definitely needs to get a stronger base there if he's going to be a true defensive force against bigger centers in the NBA. I feel like he also has some hidden playmaking potential. He can dribble a little bit. His problem is he gets a little too finesse at times. And that will come with getting stronger, probably being a little more powerful and not trying to like dink and dunk around, just kind of getting forceful into the lane and finishing strong and all that stuff. Doesn't have a huge post game, but as we've seen, the post up is kind of a rare ability for bigs nowadays. I mean, there's some that can still post up, but I feel like he could develop a few moves there. His technique on defense needs to get a little better, but overall, just a lot of things to like about this guy.
Yeah, his official measurements helped him in my eyes because he came out with a 9'2" standing reach, which is definitely good enough to play center in my opinion. And I think that is his best position going forward because defensively, he's more of a rim protector than a guy that's going to get out there and, keep up with guards. And he's not really that switchable, but he can guard 4s and 5s and maybe some mediocre 3s. It's not like he's not a versatile player, but the biggest aspect of his defense, the best aspect of his defense is his rim protection, which I think is very impressive. He times his jumps well. He's not like a quick jumper. He doesn't block shots that way, but from what I've seen, he's a guy that positions himself well on the defensive end. His upside rotations are quick and proper. He doesn't get
natural to me.
Yeah. He has a natural feel for protecting the rim. He doesn't get caught up, chasing blocks a whole lot. And even though he protects the rim a ton, he's not a guy that fouls a lot. He's not a guy that gets himself into trouble much defensively. He can consistently make the right play, whether that's blocking a shot or just rotating over and altering a shot. He seems like a very smart defender and a very smart rim protector, and I think that'll be a positive asset of his game. And then you look at his three-point shooting ability, he has a very solid stroke. He has a very good shooting form, in my opinion, and he showed it last season and hit a lot of threes. So if you're just talking about the modern NBA, what do teams love? They love centers that can shoot threes. They love centers that can protect the rim. I think Jalen Smith will easily be able to do both those things, and I think both those skills make him actually one of the safest picks in this year's draft, especially one of the safest picks you can make in the teens or early 20s because some mocks have him that late. I'll be shocked if he's not at least a role player in the NBA just because of how highly coveted those two skills are, and he also shows some ability to drive the lane when he gets ran off the three-point line. It's not something he does a lot, but he's shown that he's comfortable enough to be able to slash a little bit here and there when he has an open lane, and I think that's promising. He's a very good rebounder as well. He's a guy who gets good rebounding numbers, but then he's also a guy that, doesn't just chase rebounds. He boxes out well. He's one of those guys that you can plug in there and he will help your team rebound at a very high level. So I think all those skills translate beautifully to the NBA. He kind of reminds me of like a Miles Turner, just a 3-and-D rim protecting center, and Miles Turner is definitely one of the most coveted young bigs in the league on the trade market this offseason. I think you have the next Miles Turner right here with Jalen Smith.
Yeah, speaking of his rebounding, it's just for someone who averages a lot of rebounds, you want to see if they're just getting rebounds because they're like the biggest guy on the court, or are they getting rebounds because they have good like you mentioned, boxing out ability, and they're keeping their guy up to glass and then locating the ball. And I felt like he's in like really good position often, and he puts a body on people. So you like to see that instead of just like running and grabbing the ball because you're tall,
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as his form goes, it definitely looks like it'll be able to shoot at an NBA range. Like it seems pretty effortless. So he shot some deep threes in college even, so I have no doubt that he'll be able to find some success at least at the NBA three-point line.
Yeah, and a lot of the knocks I see on him are either stuff that I think he can fix or stuff that I don't think is relevant. Him not having a great post-up game. How many centers post up in today's NBA? A lot of the low post centers have now become three-point shooters. You look at like a Marc Gasol or a Brook Lopez, and they've kind of abandoned playing out of low post, and now they're stretching the floor, So the fact that Jalen Smith isn't that good in the low post, that doesn't matter to me, You're not drafting him to post up. He's not going to be like a prime DeMarcus Cousins or anything like that. He's going to be a guy that spaces the floor from the center position while providing rim protection, which it's rare to get both those things. So that knock on him, I don't really care about.
Speaking about the post thing real quick, I do feel like it's nice to have a big that you can get a bucket with if you get it down to the post. it's not necessary. And with him, you're going to run so many pick and rolls with him because he can do so many things out of it that I don't think that'll come into play, like you said.
Yeah, and he's a solid pick and roll big. So that's the thing, is he fits the modern day NBA. He'd be knocked a bit more for that lack of a post game if this was 2010, but it's 2020. The NBA is going towards bigs that are skilled, can shoot threes, and can rim protect, and he fits all of that. And then the thing about his strength is, yeah, he does need to improve his lower body strength, but that's something that I expect him to be able to do, once he gets in an NBA weight training program, an NBA conditioning program. I think that will be an area of focus that a team will take with him, and I think he will improve his lower body strength, and that'll only help his post defense, and maybe it'll help him score a little bit out of the post offensively and score a little bit better inside. It's just better for a bigs to have a solid base, and that's definitely an area that he needs to work on. But I would rather have a big that you have to work on their lower body strength than a big that can't shoot and somebody that you have to teach how to shoot. I feel like it's easier to just build lower body strength than it is to take a center who's never been comfortable shooting threes, never shot threes well, and trying to teach them how to shoot threes. Not that you can't do that, I just feel like that's harder. So that's the thing. A lot of his weaknesses don't really worry me all that much, and then the things he does well translate perfectly, and there are things that I love in a modern day big. So honestly, like this guy on draft night, I might have him ranked in the top 10 just because I think he's a safe pick and he would be a great fit for a number of teams. And I just love the way his game translates, and I love what he does.
When I went into this evaluation process, I wasn't really thinking of him as an option for the Blazers at 16. But the more I watch him, I feel like he'd be a really good fit in our offense and our system and stuff like that. The kind of schemes we run, I feel like he would come in and possibly be a rotational big right away. It's not really like a super exciting, super high potential pick, but I don't think I'd be too upset if that's the Blazers pick at 16.
Yeah, he would be like the perfect long-term backup center, and the thing is, if he becomes good enough, he also could probably play next to Nurkic because he can space the floor, he can shoot the three, and then his foot speed isn't so bad that he wouldn't be able to guard fours in the league, and if he improves that a little bit, he'll be fine guarding fours. It would kind of be like a Zach Collins situation where you have a rim protector that could play the 4 or the 5. So like long term,
exactly together would be nice too.
Yeah, that too. 2 rim protectors that can both space the floor would be very interesting. So and he's a guy that maybe he could be our backup center right away. Like I think his game translates so well that he might be able to play minutes for a good team right away as a backup big. So if we wanted just kind of a cheap option and we wanted to spend money elsewhere and didn't want to bring back Hassan Whiteside, I wouldn't hate drafting a guy like Jalen Smith. I like his upside. I like what he brings now, and Portland needs at least 2 bigs if they don't bring back Carmelo or Hassan Whiteside. So Jalen Smith being one of those, I would be fine with that. It's not necessarily the number one option I'd want to go, but I wouldn't really have any complaints with it.
Yeah, I definitely have a couple of guys that might be on the board a little higher, but yeah, if those guys are off the board, like a Sadiq Bey and a Aaron Nesmith, then you're not really digging some of the wing options. I think he's probably going to be the best big on the board at that range.
Yeah, I agree. So anyway, that wraps up our draft profile on Jalen Smith, one of my favorite players in this year's draft. Let us know what you think down in the comment section below. Stay tuned for more draft profiles. We're going to try and upload multiple draft profiles a day here on Blazers Uprise. We only got 3 days until the draft, so looking forward to it. We will have that draft live stream on Wednesday, free agency live stream on Friday. We're going to be streaming Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday evenings over on Blazers Uprise Live. Link in the description below. That is what we have coming up for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy the content we've been putting out. And until next time, we're out of here. We'll catch you guys later. As always, peace out. Go Blazers.